Hey guys, long time no see. Welcome back to my garden. It's been about a month and some change probably since I did a video or anything like that. And so it is mid-August right now, and I thought it would be a great time to do a garden tour. It's been really busy around here in the last month. Our baby was born, so we now have a son, and we are exhausted adjusting to being new parents, but he's fantastic. We love him, my little gummy bear. And so, yeah, in the time with us just, recovering, adjusting to being new parents, learning how to take care, it's windy out here today, learning how to take care of a newborn. The garden has been completely neglected for the last month. So we've come out here and we've harvested some stuff. We've actually harvested a lot of stuff. We've started to bring things in by the wagon load, which is nuts. But we also haven't harvested everything. Like, we haven't had the time in between or energy or anything to come out here and harvest everything that's in the garden that's ready. So a lot of stuff has just been left to go to waste, basically. It'll go in our compost piles and it'll get fed to our worms at some point. But we've definitely prioritized a few things that we really want, brought those in the house, and we had to get to a point where we just left everything else. So with this tour, I just want to show you the real of what our garden looks like right now, the good, bad, and some of it's very ugly, and it's just hasn't been taken care of. And I want to show that to document this part of the year for us. I mean, in August, our garden usually goes a little wild and crazy anyway, and I kind of like that. But this is more than, oh, there's a hummingbird. Oh, there's a hummingbird like 2 feet from me. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, this is way more than what our garden usually gets to. It's pretty bad. I wanted to show you what it looked like to just fully document the process of our garden this year and the journey of our gardening this year, and also to show you what it looks like before we start cleaning it up, which it'll take a long time, but we also are going to start transitioning into more of our fall garden and putting that together and all of that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening here. Oh, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Kiera. Feel free to call me Q. And we are gardening in California in Zone 9B. And we have about 100 days left in our gardening season. We have a really long season here. So anyway, those are some details about our garden. Now let's go to our regular spot. Really quick, just because there's not a lot going on here. Here we have our strawberry green stock. It's doing pretty well considering how I killed everything in it. And then it's also been kind of neglected. It's gotten water here and there. We've been better about it than the last couple weeks, but you can see, there's still definitely spots where that's not coming back. Things like here that we're gonna replant in it. But I am still happy with what little bit of growth we have here still. So back behind me here we have our blackberry hedge. It's kind of like the backdrop of our patio, which we really love. The blackberries at this point are done, but we managed to get a few gallon bags of blackberries that we just froze them all for smoothies, and we gave a few away and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was really nice. Most of these came in July, so we were able to get most of them pretty early on, but they were really good this year. And so now these plants are just resting, and come fall and winter, we're going to kind of like give them some amendments at the bottom, make sure that they get more nutrients. In the winter time, we're going to prune them and all of that kind of stuff and just get ready for the next year. But as of right now, the blackberries did a fantastic job. You can see they're growing all the way to the roof of our patio here, but they were great, and it was awesome to have them this season. This is our other green stock, and this I filled with cold weather things early on this season. You can see they all kind of died. This has looked like this for months and months and months. So I just kind of left it. We water it occasionally just to kind of keep the soil a little bit moist, but for the most part, this one gets pretty neglected. And I'm going to come in here and when it gets cooler and replant the whole thing with new cold weather stuff. And I'm probably going to move it too so it gets a little more sun. All right, so off the patio, we have our herb bed here. So we have in these buckets a bunch of potatoes that are definitely well past done. So we need to come out and see if we actually got anything out of these buckets. And then this is our herb bed. Everything just kind of had to fend for itself. But the sage is still looking pretty good. We've been able to, eat a lot of it in meals and stuff like that. The thyme got a little crispy while we were gone, so we're trying to bring it back. It looked a lot more brown in the last couple weeks, so we've been trying to bring this back. And then this is a weed. The onions in here, they all have gone to seed, so these in here are little onion seeds, the little black things, and they just kind of fall out. So we'll come out here and harvest all of those. And the other thing is these onions have also started to bulb up at the bottom. So you can see there, the green onions have bulbed up. So we've actually harvested a little bit of this and put it in meals too. And as it gets cooler, we will also put more cilantro. That's what was in this corner. We'll grow a lot more cilantro in the winter time, or in the fall and winter. And then our little rosemary plant is doing pretty well there. And there's the pup pup. All right, behind me here we have our apricot tree and our peach tree. Nothing really to report here. Neither one of these trees look very good at this point, but it's also very much the end of the season for them, and a lot is going to happen for these trees as far as rehabbing them in the winter time, just getting them healthy for next year. Because we had difficulty with both of these trees. The apricot just didn't really produce fruit. The peach produced a lot of fruit, but it also had leaf curl, and so we will just need to give these trees a lot of TLC over the winter time and spring, and see how they do next year. Here is what the grape arch is looking like right now. It is on a just a cattle panel with some T-posts on the sides. So you can see behind me, there's still a ton of grapes in here, and some of them are more like raisins at this point because we juiced a bunch early on in July, and then, like I said, everything stopped for a month, and so these have just been kind of sitting out here. And so we did get some yesterday just to try them. They are really good, and we're gonna have to come out here and see what we can get that's left. Some of them actually, I'm looking over my shoulder here, some of them look pretty good still. So a lot of these still look really good. You can see some of them are like shriveled and, raisiny, but there's still a lot of good fruit in here. And so we'll probably come out here and juice these whenever we can get to it. But at this point, nothing is super high priority. Here we have what we hope is a navel orange tree. It's doing pretty well. Fruit is getting a pretty good size. We've done absolutely nothing with this also, and it's looking really good. This didn't have any fruit on it last year. Half the tree was pretty dead looking, but it's doing really well this year. And then here we have our cutie tree. This is what are they called? I always forget. Clementines. And it's doing pretty well too. The fruit is really small, actually. I feel like the fruit should be bigger at this point than it is, but it's okay. It's just kind of living its life. Okay, so now let me take you into the main part of the garden. This is where things get a little crazy, and some of it I can't actually access because the grass is really high and things have fallen over and all sorts of stuff. So let me give you kind of an overview from the back of what everything looks like, and then I will go through the beds and show you kind of like where we're at. So this is just an overall look of where things are. We have our 3 16-foot beds on this side, 3 8-foot beds in this side, and then over here we have 3 more 16-foot beds. So let's kind of take a closer look at all of this and what we got going on here. Okay, so I'm going to our corner where we normally start now. My neighbor's has a rooster, and I have to be really careful because the grass is very high back here. We definitely need to get back here and clean a bunch of stuff. But let me show you the trellis, our tomato trellis we have in the back first, and then we'll go to the beds behind me. So right now I'm actually behind the trellis, which I don't think I've actually shown this angle on videos before. So There's the rooster. I think this might be fun. So let's take a look at this. We've gotten a lot of tomatoes off of this. That's one of the things that we've been like really prioritizing is the tomatoes. So on the end here, we have some indeterminate Amish paste tomatoes. And oh no, I'm looking here and I can see that we are starting to get blossom end rot on some of them, probably with watering issues. And so that's no good, but I've been pulling a lot of tomatoes off of here. I've been pulling them early just because a lot of them have gotten sun scald just from being back here. This side of it is west facing, and so the tomatoes get a lot of afternoon sun here. But there's some Amish paste tomatoes. They've been doing really well. And then we have our Super Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes over here, also indeterminate. Also have gotten a lot of tomatoes off of these. So these are all kind of like close to end of season now. And then down here, these are Roma tomatoes, and they just never got really very tall at all. This is probably like 2 feet tall, but we've gotten a lot of fruit off of these still. So these plants are definitely done because these are determinates, so they get all of their fruit at once. But yeah, still gotten a lot of tomatoes off of this. So it's not pretty, but it's given us a lot of food. Okay, so I just walked around again. You can see those first 2 tomatoes I showed you with the blossom end rot over my shoulder right here. And then behind me is our first bed. And let me show you what's happening with this zucchini right here. So the first thing you will see with this garden is the grass has completely taken over the pathways. This is nuts. This was all actually wood chipped in the beginning of the season, and the grass is just taken over. So we definitely have to do something about that. But here in this corner, this was our really prolific zucchini plant. And this plant starts in here, about in here somewhere. And then it has just grown a crazy amount and comes all the way out to here. So the bed actually ends probably right here. And then it comes out another, I want to say like 3 feet into the walkway. And it's been pretty nuts. This thing is huge. We've never had zucchini plants last this long or be this healthy and get this big. We've never dealt with this before, but it's just kind of lived its life, gone crazy. So another thing about the zucchini, basically all the zucchini in the garden, we were really good about harvesting all the zucchini early on. In June and July, we had so much of it coming in between the zucchini and the yellow squash. It was really overwhelming. But the zucchini is one of those things that in the last month, we have just not seen it as a priority. We have a ton in the freezer. We have a ton that we've given away. There's only so much zucchini bread we can eat in a year, and there's only so much zucchini we can eat with every single meal, which is what we were doing all of, I want to say most of May, all of June, all of July. We were having squash with basically every meal. Now we're not doing that. We're done. So the squash, the summer squash, the zucchini, the yellow squash, that's definitely things that we've just let go at this point. They are massive in this garden. You'll see that. I have a couple back here, even on this plant, I'll show you. But they've just gotten away from us and we just let them. And same thing with the cucumbers at this point. We just kind of let them go. So you're going to see a lot of that in this tour too, where it's just, those were the things that we were like, you know what, we're good. We're just going to let them get humongous and clean them up later. We'll compost most of it. We'll feed some to our worms. We have like a little worm farm that we're experimenting with that we've had for a couple years, and we're trying to get better and better at it. But anyway, so a lot of them will go really into the compost, but that's okay. That's just kind of what's happening this year. So here's the rest of that massive zucchini plant from another angle. And then we have okra. You can see that okra is one of those things that you definitely have to come out and harvest it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. It's supposed to be this size when it's edible. This is a burgundy okra. So this is a really good size, maybe a little bit bigger than this, but honestly, if you leave it like more than this afternoon, it'll be too big. So you can see by the one even just right next to it that we're not harvesting this every day. And this plant has a bunch of pods that are huge, and this is really woody and at this point like too hard to eat, which is totally fine. We're gonna let these actually fully mature, save the seeds, and I'll plant them for next year. Our cucumber plants that never got to the top of the trellis, but they definitely grew out this way, out of the bed this way. And there's a bunch of pepper plants and different herbs and stuff in there too. And we just kind of have to dig for them. Mostly the peppers. Everything else we just kind of let it go. And here's some more of those okra plants, so you can see like how big. You can see how big these have gotten. That's way too big to eat, but we'll just kind of let it do its thing and then save them for seeds. This is the second zucchini plant that's in this bed. As you can see, it is also massive, and so the leaves have started to not look so hot. We could trim those off, but honestly, I'm probably gonna at some point just take this entire plant out. I don't know if you can see this, but that is huge. They are not supposed to be this big, but here we are. Oh, and I can see some peppers and stuff down there too. I have to get those. Well, okay. This garden is so wild and crazy that I keep getting caught in all of the plants, and they're just kind of like, as I'm trying to get through everything, it really is very jungle-like back here. But yeah, so those zucchini plants, basically the fruit is way too big. Just to explain really quick, if you're interested, the difference between summer squash and winter squash. There's no difference as far as when they're grown. So they're both grown in the warm season. The difference on what we call summer squash and winter squash, so summer squash is like zucchini and things like that. And then winter squash would be like a pumpkin, butternut squash, something like that. So the difference is basically when we eat them. And so zucchinis and yellow squash, we eat those when they're smaller and the flesh is still really soft, and you know, the inside's really soft and all of that kind of stuff. And with winter squash, we basically eat them when they're more mature, they're bigger, they've been growing for a longer period of time, and the flesh the outside has gotten really hard, like a rind. And so usually with pumpkins and stuff like that, if you try to like poke it with your fingernail, it doesn't leave an indentation, as opposed to if you did that with a zucchini, your fingernail will probably go right through and like juice would come out. And so that's the difference between winter squash and summer squash, is basically when we eat them. It's not when they're grown. And so the cool thing about this is if you have a zucchini like this, you could let it grow to be this big, and the outside would get hard, and it would get the same as a pumpkin. It would get to the point where you can't pierce it easily with your thumb, and you would actually be able to save the seeds from it and plant those mature seeds out in your garden next year. So I'm not going to do that, one, because these are probably all cross-pollinated, and two, zucchini and summer squash are so easy to grow that I'd rather just buy the seeds and like not worry about having something that's cross-pollinated, because we don't need a ton of it, and we have kind of like a smaller growing space for them. We only have probably like 6 plants out here, and that's too many. So I think next year I need to go with like 4. So for that reason, I'm not going to save the seeds for those, but you could do it if you wanted to. And so that is a really cool thing about knowing the difference between summer squash and winter squash, and when you eat them and when you can save the seeds from them. Now here is a pathway, or it was a pathway. So we have the zucchini plant I just talked about here. We have a downed sunflower here that's actually coming from the other side, which I'll show you. We have some amaranth that fell down in here. There's just a lot going on. A lot of it needs to be cleaned up. There's grass like in the beds. It's pretty bad looking. I don't know if you can see down there, but that is a huge cucumber that is, I'm sure, tastes terrible and not worth trying to eat. So let me see if I can get over here. I actually haven't trapezed through here yet. Okay, let's see if we can climb over all this stuff. Ugh. I haven't been back here on this side of this path in a month. So let's see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on back here. Oh, there's an Armenian cucumber behind me. So this is our cucumber situation. These are way too big. This is a Telegraph improved, it looks like. Or no, I think this is a Persian gherkin. I don't fully remember. I thought the Telegraph was over here, but those are way too big. We got some peppers back there that I need to come and get, which is nice knowing that those are back there. We've been getting all the red ones. Here's some more zucchini on that first plant. That is way too big. Let's see. Can you see that? That's huge. Then there's 3 of them all together. They're massive. On this side of the trellis, we had some straw flower in the back, which I actually do want to come and pick more of this. One for bouquets, but also for drying flowers just to have in the house. It's really nice. And then this is our Armenian cucumber. There's a lot going on in here. This is massive. All this fruit is massive. But really enjoyed growing this. Definitely want to do it again. And next to it, this Armenian actually kind of like took over this entire trellis, but next to it we actually planted, I think this is where the Persian gherkin was. And those have gotten humongous. Also, definitely not worth eating, not even trying to. But all in all, I'm really happy with, the fact that we even got cucumbers this year because it was all fully an experiment for us. One really cool thing about the garden this year, we have some pepper plants that we've been harvesting off of down here. They've been doing really well, so I'm really happy with that. But one cool thing about the garden this year is this sunflower. So the Persian gherkins have started using it as a trellis, but you can see there's a sunflower stalk down there. If we back up, all of that is one sunflower, which is wild, and I've absolutely loved it. Like, I didn't know, I don't think it was supposed to grow like this, but I love it, and it's been amazing. And if we come around here, we have some more pepper plants in here, peppers that we need to take out, which are doing really well. And that's definitely high priority for us is the tomatoes and peppers. And then coming around, we have our noodle beans. So this is the noodle bean trellis. It is glorious, and it did everything I wanted it to do. I love it. You can see the beautiful sunflowers over there. There's one that actually fell down, and these sunflowers are peeking through on the other side, which is actually really pretty from the house. But I am obsessed with this trellis, and it's pretty wild at this point. Our noodle beans still even have some more flowers coming on. Like, look how majestic this is. This did everything I wanted it to, and to have the sunflowers peeking through the back is just everything for me. And then you have some cucumbers came through from, these cucumbers were actually growing on the trellis back there, and they grew onto the sunflower in the middle and then came over here because the Armenians took over their trellis. So we have noodle beans and cucumbers growing in the same spot, which I'm not mad at that. So like I said, this is a little too wild for me, but there are parts of it that I still find very, very beautiful. It's just, I like to be able to walk in my walkways, call me crazy. But so this is going to need a lot of cleanup, especially all these pathways that are just overgrown with grass at this point. But it's been really cool that all this food has grown out here without anything from us. And, we have a drip system on, and it's automatic. We haven't had to do anything. And we can come out here and just harvest food when we get the energy and the time. And that's been really great. And we've been able to give a couple bouquets to people who've come over and helped us. And that's been really awesome too, to be able to give a lot of it away. My favorite part about gardening is sharing it. And one of the ways I get to share it now is with these videos, but to share food and share flowers with the people that come and visit us is the whole reason why I do this. So I love it. So the noodle bean arch is right there. And then instead of going through the middle of that trellis, just because there's so much going on, I'm going to show you what's going on from the outside of it. We have a lot of pepper plants that we've gotten a ton of peppers off of in here. That's been really great. We have some zinnias that, you know, they need some deadheading, but they've been really pretty, especially looking out from our windows at the house. This is a yellow squash that I think I cross-pollinated a little bit with our zucchini, but you can see there's squash in here that's way too big. And like I said, we've let it go. These are fun. These definitely look like they've been crossed with zucchini. And well, it's very prickly, but kind of a pretty color. I kind of like the striping on those, but yeah, wild garden. And then this is where our hot pepper section starts. And so we have jalapenos here, which we always leave our jalapenos until they turn red. And so we pick them when they look like this. So they'll start green. They'll start green like this, and then they'll kind of turn kind of like a brownish color. You can see this one's starting to turn that color on this side, and then they'll turn bright red. And we like to leave them until they're bright red for more of like a cayenne pepper kind of deal. And we're supposed to have some poblanos back here too, but I don't really see much of those yet. But the jalapenos have been doing really well. And then over here on the end is another yellow squash plant with, you know, toddler size yellow squash back there. In the back of the garden again, here's the tomato trellis we talked about. Those are our three 9-foot or 3 16-foot beds right there. And then back here we have our pumpkin patch, and our pumpkin patch has pumpkins, which is very exciting. We've never done this before. And so there's 2 pumpkins over there. These are sugar pie pumpkins, and we'll use them for decorating and stuff like that. And then on the other side way over there, those are Howden pumpkins. And I have to see if we have any of those yet. They're supposed to be bigger jack-o'-lantern pumpkins on that side, but these look very good, and I'm very happy with that. Then in the middle here, we have our cut flower garden experiment. So these are more straw flowers that are very lovely. I really like these actually. I'm gonna harvest some of these. I really like those. The cosmos have gone wild and crazy just because I wasn't deadheading them anymore, so they've all kind of lost their shine. I'm kind of wondering if I just come out here and just like give them a massive haircut if I would get more cosmo flowers this season. I don't really know. I might actually just do that with one of the plants. I'm looking down. I'm trying not to step on these pumpkins here. I might just do that with a couple of the plants just to see what'll happen, because that'd be cool to get like kind of a second sowing of cosmos without having to plant new plants. So I might try that, but they're all almost as tall as me now, and I'm about 5'5.5", and this is great. I love this. On the end of the cosmos, we had some tomatoes. So this is a patch of Roma tomatoes. This is 3, was it 3? I think it was 3 Roma tomato plants. We've harvested a ton of tomatoes off of these 3 plants, and you can see they're still loaded up. So some of them like this is a little bit of sun scald right here. It's basically like a sunburn for plants. I've been taking them off like this maybe a little bit early just so that they don't get more damaged, and then we just let them ripen in the house. But we haven't been out here in a few days harvesting tomatoes, and it is definitely time again. I think it's been about 3 days since I came out here last. And then next to that bed we have a few more tomatoes. This is 3 golden nugget cherry tomatoes. Again, time to come out here and harvest. These are also determinants, but they kind of last the whole season for us, which is really awesome. So I might come out here and see if I can get some suckers to replant these and see if we can even extend them longer. But we've had tomatoes off of these for a good like 3 months now, and they're really good. Those, we have our beautiful zinnia patch. This is the one place where my zinnias did really well. And there are 3 types of zinnias in here. So these little pink ones here, these are Senora zinnias. You can see the little fluff balls. These are giant purple zinnias here. And then I have some red ones. This isn't the best example, but this is a Moulin Rouge zinnia. They're the red ones in here too. And then on the end over there, there's more Cosmos. And then this is the front flower bed, where things are just sad. This is a amaranth that just completely fell over, but we do have some zinnias kind of like poking through here, trying to make a comeback. And then over here, we just had a bunch of snapdragons, and they don't do well in the heat, so they died pretty early on, but some of them, I mean, again, some of them, it's kind of old, so it's not the best examples, but some of them are trying to make a comeback, and they're still actually really pretty. So I'm excited about that. And then here's some, oh, these are zinnias actually that I put in super late. Or was it? Let me see. Oh no, they're just bent over. No, actually, these are zinnias that I put in really late. Wow. So I put these in a couple months ago, and they're doing really well. But something I didn't see, these are dahlias. Oh, wow. I'm sad I missed this. That's awesome. Then we have another zinnia right there. If you're with me for previous garden tours earlier on in the season for our spring garden tours, you will know that I planted a row of dahlias all from seed. It was like a mixed bag. I have no idea what color any of them were going to be. So far we have 2 yellow ones and a pink one, but I planted them from seed, and then I also planted a specialty kind of marigold over here in this bed, and all of them got eaten really early on by our birds. They just like picked them down to nothing. And so with this plant right here, this dahlia, I had covered it for a couple weeks with a strawberry box, one of those like, green little containers that strawberries come in. I just kind of covered it to give them a fighting chance so it could get some of the leaves growing again, because I noticed that later in the season, none of the flowers were getting eaten by the birds. And so I covered it for a couple weeks just to give it a shot. I didn't really know what would happen, but it really made a comeback. So that's exciting. So this is not like a beautiful example of a dahlia by any means, but I'm still very proud of this and very happy with this because I've never grown them from seed before, and we still got flowers. And so this is really cool. This is something that we can save seeds from now, and hopefully we'll get better and stronger plants every year. We can also dig up the tubers for this, which will make sure that we definitely get a plant exactly like this, because with dahlias you can either grow the seed, which will give you a plant that has slightly different genetic variations, or you can dig up the tubers and plant that, which is it's like a little potato thing underground, and that'll give you the exact same plant, kind of like a clone. And so this is really cool. Now we can have this dahlia multiplied in our garden, and it'll get stronger and healthier and probably a lot bigger than this too. So this is exciting. I'm really happy with this. Okay, so across from our flower/tomato beds, we have our last 3 16-foot beds, and right here on the end we have a zucchini that grew out of the bed and also got kind of pushed out of the bed. So this is huge also. There's gigantic fruit down there. There's one down there that looks to be also toddler size. There's actually 2 down there. Let's see. You can see that. There's 2 gigantic fruit in there. But anyway, this is my new favorite part of the garden. And what we have here is we have a couple like zinnias popping up, but this is Blue Lake pole beans, and they're covered with flowers. We are also now getting beans off of them, and these black huge bumblebees have been all over it. You can see that guy right there. But yeah, so now we're getting beans off of this, which is really awesome. And there's actually another black bumblebee over there. And this goes all the way to the top of the trellis. Let me see if I can zoom out far enough. This is what this looks like. I love it. So there's Blue Lake pole beans on this side and then noodle beans growing on that side. I just grew half a trellis of each one because I wasn't sure how many we would need because I had a ton of them growing over there also. The ones over there didn't do well at all, and these are doing fantastic. And so I think that they really do like this half of the garden because it gets more shade. Here's what this looks like. And they're starting to be beans all the way up, so we need to come out here and actually harvest now, which is nice. And then we have noodle beans on this side. Now this is the part of the garden where the wood chips kind of held up a little bit better. We do have some grass that's come out just because we weren't able to put the cardboard underneath the beds right away, or all the way, but still it's held up a lot better over here. And I'm gonna go down this pathway just to kind of give you a sense of what's in here. So we have two tomatillo plants on the other side there that have grown on both sides, which is great. We have little tomatillos, and we've actually harvested a few, so we actually got tomatillos this year. You need 2 plants. If you've never grown tomatillos before, you need 2 plants. We made the mistake of only having 1 last year, and we had a beautiful plant that had lots of flowers and no fruit. So that's doing really well. And then this is a pumpkin plant right here. Got our first pumpkin. This is also a sugar pie pumpkin that we'll use to decorate and then we'll eat. And over here, we have an Armenian cucumber that we've just kind of let live its life. Back behind this trellis, back there is a bunch of bush beans. It's like a trio mix, and we've actually harvested a lot of bush beans off of that. And then we have some more pepper plants sprinkled in. These are super sweet 100 cherry tomatoes. There's 3 here, and we've gotten a lot of fruit off of this too. So here are those tomatoes, cherry tomatoes from the other side, and you can see that at a certain point we were no longer actually trellising these up. So it got a ton of suckers, and you know, they no longer were winding all the way up, but that's okay. We've gotten a lot of fruit off of them and we feel really good about it. In the next bed we have in this corner more trio bush beans. It's just kind of, again, a variety mix. These are some tomatoes that are on the arch on the other side, and I'll show you those when we get to them. We have more pepper plants. Oh, I think I hear the baby crying, so I'm gonna pause this tour for right now. Okay, so Andrew brought the baby out. He's enjoying his own little garden tour. So now we are back under the bean trellis. I love this. I love too that they're so easy to pick this way. It's just, you know, food at eye level. It's really nice. Instead of the bush beans, you have to kind of go in there and dig. And it's easy to miss a lot of them. I really like when stuff is what's the word I'm looking for? Trellised? Yeah, I really like when stuff is trellised. Vertically grown was the word I was looking for, but trellis is a better word. All right, and here's the last row. So this is the Hungarian heart tomato. This is a slicer, and we had a lot of issues with this plant. There's 2 plants here that I got from the farmer's market. They're the only 2 plants I bought, but we had a lot of issues with this one, with it being sick. And I did a couple hard prunes on it earlier on this season, and it's not super prolific, but the fruit is really good. So it turns into this really deep red color, and they're really, really good on sandwiches. I actually didn't think I really liked tomatoes until I started growing them, and I love them. And these are really good. They're good even just eating on plain with just a little bit of salt. Honestly, they taste like they have salt on them already, but it's really good. I'll eat these just on their own, and I don't do that with tomatoes. So these are awesome. And if you found that you are okay with tomatoes, but you never really liked them, I highly recommend just trying to grow some on your own. It's a totally different experience, because I was definitely a person that was like, I'll eat a tomato if it's in something, but growing them, completely different. It's like not even the same thing. So give it a shot if you haven't. And there goes the bebe. This is a yellow brandy wine, and there's no fruit on it right now because we've taken it all off, but it's been really, really good. We've really enjoyed these, and they are really pretty too. We've given a few away. Here we have some pepper plants in the middle. We had some eggplants. We've actually started to harvest a couple off of this, which is great because these plants were definitely behind. But this is what the fruit on these look like, and they'll get a little bit bigger. This is the only eggplant we've ever tried to grow. We've grown it the last few years, and they were just really late this season, but they look really good. So we've started to eat off of those, which is great. Here we have a honey nut plant. These will turn a really pretty golden color. And oh, there's one down there. So they'll turn kind of a golden color like that, and then they'll just get more and more golden, and all the green will be gone. And sometimes they get a little bit bigger than that, but we really like these. They're kind of like a sweeter butternut. And then this is our watermelon. Oh, there's a watermelon down here. I didn't know that. So I gotta actually, this little t-shirt was from a watermelon we had on here before. So I gotta move it down and kind of like hammock that one. And then we got another little guy here. This is the one I saw. So we're excited for that. And then there's a yellow squash right next to it that again has just, you know, fended for itself, and we just let it go. In this last bed here, we have some bush beans and peppers on the end here. And let's see. Here we have another watermelon. These are yellow watermelons. They're from seeds we saved in our previous garden. We have some basil. It's starting to flower again. So let me take that off. About a month ago, I gave all of the basil in our entire garden a really hard haircut. So I actually chopped all these plants down to like here. And you can see how much it's grown back in the last like few weeks, which is really awesome. So we made a ton of pesto out of it. And it looks like it's about time to give them another hard chop, especially since it's flowering again. One thing I'm going to try to do this year is I'm going to try and grow more basil in the fall. And so I'm actually going to start more from seed in the next couple weeks, and see if we can grow some more in the cooler seasons too, so we can make a ton more pesto and just freeze it for over the winter, because that would be really nice to have pesto all winter. So I'm gonna test that out. I think I said in the beginning of this video, we have like 100 more days in our growing season. And so there's a lot we can do here, especially when our days start to get a little bit cooler, but we still have a ton of sun and it's still fairly warm. So I'm gonna give that a shot and see how it goes. Then we have some more peppers. We have some more itty bitty eggplants. And this is an Autumn Beauty sunflower. It's gigantic. And we've gotten a lot of flowers off of this for bouquets too. So here's that sunflower, and the stalk is here. It goes all the way to the top, and it just has a ton of heads on it. And I've really enjoyed this too. So you can see there's a ton of heads. And then this trellis, we were experimenting with the arch. It didn't really work out, but that's okay. These are a couple just more Amish paste tomatoes that I had. And we've gotten a couple pretty good size tomatoes off of these little scrawny plants. All right, and then here is the last section of our garden. So this is another tomato trellis that we have. This is all Roma tomatoes all the way down, all 16 feet of it. And none of these plants got super tall. I mean, I guess this one got way taller than the rest, but the rest of these are about 2 feet tall, but they have been loaded with tomatoes. We've picked about as many red ones as you see here now. We've picked that amount off of these already twice, maybe 3 times. And they're just covered in tomatoes. So this has been really nice. Here's what they look like from the other side of the trellis. And here's some more basil. But yeah, it's a ton of tomatoes in there. And then this is a borage plant. So one thing I really wanted to do is kind of like a aspirational thing, was to grow enough tomatoes where we could can our tomato sauce instead of buying a box from the farmer's market. So tomato sauce is one of the few things that I've first learned to can. I think I made it like a jam first, and then I quickly moved to tomato sauce. And so the last couple years, we've bought like a big box from the farmer's market, and I've just made our tomato sauce for the year from that. And it's really, really good. So the thing is, though, is I had this vision that I really wanted to be able to grow our own tomatoes and make sauce from that. And so that's why we had these 2 extra cattle panels of tomatoes. I wanted to just see how close we could get. I didn't think we'd get anywhere close because the box just seemed like so many, and I wasn't sure how well the plants would do. Well, this has been pretty amazing. We've already made 2 huge pots of tomato sauce that I'm gonna start canning this weekend. We've like been harvesting the tomatoes and freezing them or until we have enough, and then making sauce out of them. And then we froze some of that sauce. Others we made a huge pot of it just like 2 days ago. And so now it's going to be time to can it. This is not a project that I can do in a day anymore. It takes me multiple days to do this now. And that's okay, because I really like doing it. I enjoy doing it. I want to do it. But we have gotten so much sauce already, and I'm really, really happy with this, knowing that we could grow all of our tomatoes for the full year, and then I could even make more sauce, because we kind of like save it for special occasions and we don't eat it all at once, even though we could eat a lot more, like pasta sauce and pizza and all that stuff. We eat a lot more than we do. But it's really nice that we can grow this many and we don't have to kind of like hoard it anymore. So this is really awesome. And I'm excited to see at the end of the season just how much sauce we were able to make from just these two extra panels in our garden that we were able to grow. And also those 3 that were just in a bed by themselves. So this year has been a really good tomato year. It's been pretty awesome. And the last thing I want to show you is off of our tomatoes and around our apple tree, I put a little pumpkin plant right at the end of the trellis here, and it has expanded out all through here. This is 1 pumpkin. So it goes all the way down to the corner of our yard there and across. This is a massive pumpkin patch, and it's just 1 plant. And I have to get in there. Let's see if we can actually find a pumpkin. All right, so we're looking. I don't see any. I see lots of flowers, but I don't see any pumpkins. Oh,
there's a board of 1.
Let's see. Oh, it's a pumpkin, but it didn't work out. Okay, so we didn't see any pumpkins on that one, but let me see if there's pumpkins on this big one over here. Okay, so there's 2 more there. Those might actually be sugar pies. I'm not sure. I'm trying to see where the vine starts. I think those are 2 sugar pies also. But let's see. Pouting pumpkin. Oh, here we go. So this is a gourd pumpkin. It's very misshapen, but I think that is our first Howden pumpkin right there. All right, so that's a look at our garden here in August after a month of, being ignored and being neglected. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it was helpful for you to see a garden where there's a lot that's going on. It's really productive. It's really beautiful. And also there's a lot that's just kind of gone crazy and gone wild. So we're going to be cleaning our garden up over the next couple months. One, just to clean it, to get it, looking really nice again. The other part of it too is just, working on it through the fall to transition into fall and winter. Also like redoing wood chips in certain parts where the grass just went wild and crazy over it, all that kind of stuff. So for us, fall and winter is really the time to reset the garden and to expand on it anyway. And I'm really excited to see what this space is going to look like once we get it kind of tidied up a lot. I was going to say a little, get it tidied up a lot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tour. I hope you enjoyed getting a look at my garden and, seeing one that is not perfect. It's a lot of stuff is not beautiful in here right now, but it's still really good, and it still brings us a lot of joy, and it brings us a lot of food. So thank you for taking the time to hang out with me in my garden today, and I would love to know how your garden is doing in August, whether it's, things are going wild and crazy too. Maybe there's some parts in your garden that have been a little neglected, or maybe you're on top of it and it's been amazing and beautiful and you're really proud and you want to share it. I'd love to hear about all of those things. So thanks again for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.